Hello students, we are going to talk about two numerical problems in heat transfer in this lecture or in this video. These problems are taken from the category of one-dimensional steady-state conduction, and as you are familiar with one-dimensional steady-state conduction, these problems can be solved by using a methodology called as electrical analogy. So let me give you a brief revision to this topic of one-dimensional steady-state conduction. One-dimensional steady-state conduction problems can be of three categories: through plane wall, through hollow cylinders, or through hollow spheres. So we need to start actually with the governing equation, three-dimensional generalized conduction equation. It is to be reduced to the one-dimensional steady-state conduction form for that particular coordinate system, which Cartesian coordinate system or cylindrical coordinate system or spherical coordinate system, whichever is applicable to that given problem. Then those reduced equations are to be solved as they are differential equation. They are solved, but they can be solved by integrating and then using the proper boundary conditions. And after finally all those solutions in the one dimensional steady state conduction, we are getting the equation for the heat transfer for cylindrical systems, for spherical systems, and for plane wall systems. Now, these equations can be converted into a form called as thermal resistance, as there is an analogy between the heat transfer and electricity flow. So we can write down the equations for the thermal resistance for each of these systems, and this analogy can be extended for multiple layers with the help of the concept of resistances in series and resistances in parallel. So you are quite familiar with all these issues related with the electric analogy. Now, after understanding the electric analogy, it is required to tackle the real life numerical problems on the system. So in this lecture, I'll be discussing about one problem on composite wall, that is a plane wall, and one problem on a composite cylinder. Of course, it will be additionally it will deal with the economics of the insulation system. So whether insulation is economical or not, that also we can find out. Both the problems are actual real life situations. So let us see one by one. The first problem is just a large furnace wall consists of 250 millimeter thick common brick layer. So this is the first layer whose thickness is 250 millimeter and thermal conductivity is 0.65 watt per meter Kelvin. It is lined on inside with 300 millimeter thick layer of magnesite brick. So this is second layer with 300 millimeter thickness and 11.5 watt per meter Kelvin the conductivity. The inner side of the furnace, now this is a problem of a furnace. So inner side of the furnace exposed to hot gases whose temperature is 1400 degrees Celsius, and the convective heat transfer between those hot gases and the inner wall of the cylinder is 17.5, and radiation heat transfer coefficient is 23.2 watt per meter square Kelvin. The temperature of the surrounding air is 30 degrees Celsius, and with a convective heat transfer coefficient of 7.5 and 11.5 watt per meter square respectively, and we have to find out the rate of heat transfer through the wall per unit area and maximum temperature to which the common brick is subjected. So this is the information available. We got the thickness of the first layer, let us call it as B1, 300 millimeter or zero point 0.3 meter. Thickness of the second layer is 250 millimeter, that is 0.25 meter. The conductivities are designated as K1 and K2 respectively, and the fluid temperatures on both the sides are 1400 to 30 degrees Celsius. It means that whatever modes of heat transfer are there in this problem, all those modes of heat transfer, all that heat transfer is taking place in between this temperature potential of 1400 डिग्री सेल्सियस टू 30 डिग्री सेल्सियस। ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, आपको ध्यान में रखना है कि दिस इज द टेम्परेचर पोटेंशियल। So whatever going to happen, it is going to happen within these two temperatures only. Okay, let us step by step proceed for a solution of the problem. So first step is to draw the schematic of the given situation. So we got first a magnesite brick, then common brick. Inner side is magnesite brick exposed to hot gases at 1400 degrees Celsius. So let us call this temperature as T infinity 1. Then we got two heat transfer coefficient, one for convection from the inner side and radiation from the inner side. And then outside of this common break, there is common atmospheric air at 30 degrees Celsius, convective coefficient 7.5, radiative coefficient 11.5. Now let us try to understand what is actually happening in the problem so that we can convert this schematic into this equivalent electrical network. Now I'm just going to explain you stepwise how to get this particular equivalent network by using the schematic, because this, if you can convert this, your problem is almost completed. If you draw a correct electrical network for a given physical situation, your problem is almost solved, because next step is just to calculate the values of all these resistances and find out the equivalent resistance, and then use the Ohm's law, which is equivalent of Ohm's law for the temperature system, and find out the rate of heat transfer. So all those problems or these things are going to be very smooth because those are the defined steps. But the most important step is to convert this schematic into the equivalent electrical network. Now, how to start? My suggestion would be you need to start with the highest temperature. Now, in this case, the highest temperature is 1400 degrees Celsius. So, let us call it as T infinity 1. So, I am starting with this 1400 degrees Celsius. Now, this gas at 1400 degrees Celsius is in communication with the inner wall of this magnesite brick. So there must be some heat transfer from the hot gas to this wall. Naturally, as the wall gas is at higher temperature, this wall is going to be at some slight lower temperature, right? Lesser temperature. Now, what we need, we are having two heat transfer coefficients. One is for convection and one is for radiation. It indicates that this gas is giving the heat, giving the energy to this wall by two modes. One is convection and one is radiation. Means the total heat gained by this inner side of the wall is because of rate of heat transfer by convection plus rate of heat transfer by radiation. It indicates that both the modes of heat transfer are happening, or both the modes of heat transfer are involved in the process of heat transfer simultaneously. That's why there is a resistance offered by for the process of convection, and there is a resistance offered for the process of radiation. So we got two resistances, as some heat is getting transferred by convection and some heat is getting transferred by radiation. Both these resistances are to be taken into parallel with each other. So we got the first branch, that is convective resistance and radiative resistance in parallel. Now, now we are at this location. Now what is going to the mode of heat transfer from this layer to this layer? This is a solid. So as we know that through the solids, the mechanism, or sorry, the mode of heat transfer is always conduction, and this solid will offer some resistance for the heat to flow. So it means that there is a resistance, and that resistance is resistance offered by this brick, first layer of brick. So this layer, let us call it as R1. Now all the heat which is obtained from convection and radiation is under steady conditions, it will flow through this first layer. As all the heat is transferred, by single layer, we can have this R1 in series with the combination of RC1 and RR1. Okay, then there is another layer, so another resistance, and from this outside surface, the mode of heat transfer is once again convection plus radiation. So similar to the inner side, on the outer side we got two resistances in parallel, and of course in series with R1 and R2, that is RC2 and RR2. And then finally we are reaching to the temperature of 30 degrees Celsius. So we are starting with the highest potential, we are reaching to the lowest potential, and during this journey from higher temperature to lower temperature, you have to identify the number of modes of heat transfer. Each mode of heat transfer will have a resistance. Means if there are two modes, convection and radiation, so two resistances. Now why we are taking it them parallel? Because both the resistances are operating simultaneously. Now there is only one mode of heat transfer in this brick, and that is conduction. So only one resistance. Why it is in series with this? Because all the heat which is carried by convection and radiation is conducted into this brick wall, and that's why it is taken into series. So if you remember all this process, this entire process of converting a equivalent network into the equivalent the schematic into equivalent electrical network, then you can solve the problem. So my advice would be, while solving the problems, don't try to find out, don't try to read the solution. Your first step would be, should be to draw this schematic diagram as per the given information, and then convert that into the equivalent electrical. Now next step, logically we have to find out all the values of RR1, RC1, R1, R2, RC2, RR2, and then we'll find out the equivalent resistance for all this entire circuit. So let us do it. So step 1 for the solution, of course step 1 was this, but actual solution will start from here, so let us call it as step 1. To calculate all the thermal resistances for 1 meter square surface area. Now why I am calculating it for 1 meter square surface area? Because area is not specified in the problem. So it is always better to find it out for unit area, that is 1 meter square area, and then you can multiply it by the area. If the rate of heat transfer is, suppose you have calculated for 1 meter square area and we know the area, then you can just multiply it by that area and you will get the total rate of heat transfer. So that's not a big issue. So it is always suggested to calculate it for the unit area if the area is not specified. Now the first resistance is the convective resistance, and we know that convective resistance is always 1 upon H into the corresponding area. So H, that is the convective resistance, sorry, convective transfer coefficient, HC1 in this case, and the area. So that value which is known to us from the problem data, it is 17.5 SC1 and the area is 1 meter square. So we got, if we calculate this, you will get 0.0571 meter square Kelvin per watt. Then resistance of radiation, similar to this convective resistance, it is also the reciprocal of heat transfer coefficient of radiation multiplied by area. So just put the values, you will get the value of RR1. Now R1 is the resistance of conduction for the plane wall, and the equation for that is B upon Ka, where B is the thickness of the layer, K is the conductivity of the layer, and A is the surface area perpendicular to the direction of heat flow. So in this case, B1 is 0.3. As we are calculating R1, so B will become B1, K will become K1. So it will be 0.3 upon 11.1 into area is 1 meter square. If you calculate it, you will get this. Now R2, B will become B2, K will become K2. If you substitute the values of B2 and K2 as per the given data, you will get R2 is equal to 0.3846. So we are now calculating one by one all the resistances. Similarly, we can calculate the value of RC2, that is the convective resistance for the outer side, and radiative resistance for the outer side, by knowing the convective coefficients on the outer side and the radiative coefficient on the outer side. So we just calculate it. you'll get 0.133 and 0.087 meter square Kelvin per watt. Now the next step, we got all the resistances. Now we have to find out the equivalent thermal resistance for this network, for the entire network. Now I'm just revisiting the network. You can see that there are three can say things in this involved in this network. These two resistances are in parallel. These two resistances are in parallel, and then these two are in series with R1 and R2. So what we'll do, we'll first find out the equivalent of these two, then we'll find out the equivalent of these two, and these R equivalent 1 and R equivalent 2 will be in parallel with R1 and R2. How to find out the equivalent of these two parallel resistances? If you recall the electrical network problems, uh, you can recall that this the parallel, when the resistances are in parallel, the equivalent resistance is 1 upon R equivalent is equal to 1 upon RC1 plus 1 upon RR1. So using this logic, we can find it out. So RC1 and RR1 are in parallel. So 1 upon R equivalent 1, that is the equivalent resistance of RC1 and RR1, is equal to 1 upon RC1 plus 1 upon RR1. So if you put the values from the previous slide, you can get these values, and you calculate 1 upon R equivalent 1 is equal to 40.7. As 1 upon R equivalent 1 is 40.7, R equivalent 1 will become 1 upon 40.7, and that is equal to 0.0245 meter square Kelvin per watt. So what I have done, I have converted this RC1 and RR1, which were parallel to each other, into a single resistance, and that resistance is R equivalent 1, and the value of that R equivalent 1 is now 0.0245. So now these two are replaced by this. So, and similarly, we can calculate the equivalent of RC2 and RR2 by using the same methodology. You'll get R equivalent to, that will be 0.05263 meter square Kelvin per watt. Now we got, as I told you earlier also, now we have got this R equivalent 1 and R equivalent 2 in parallel with R1 and R2. So we got now four resistances in series. All the four resistances are known. Now we have to find out the equivalent of these four resistances. It is nothing but the addition of R equivalent 1, R1, R2 and R equivalent 2. So if you add all these resistances, you will get the total thermal resistance, and that value is equal to 0.4877 meter square Kelvin per watt. Now just we'll keep this sigma thermal as it is here, and we can calculate the rate of heat transfer by using this equivalent Ohm's law for the thermal circuit, that is the temperature difference divided by the total thermal resistance. In our case, the temperature difference is 1400 minus 30, and the total thermal resistance is 0.4877. So if you put the values, you get the rate of heat transfer is equal to 2807.92 watt per meter square. Watt per meter square because it is for 1 meter square area. So if you know the area, you just multiply it by that area, you will get the total heat transfer for that area. Okay, now we are interested also in, you can just recall that we need to find out the maximum temperature to which the common brick is subjected. Now just maximum temperature in the common, this is a common break link. Now the heat is getting transferred from this end to this end. So as heat transfer always takes place from higher temperature to lower temperature, this side of this common brick will be at lower temperature and this side will be at higher temperature. So let us call that temperature, higher temperature in the common break, as T2. We can mark this T2 in the equivalent circuit here. After R1, the temperature is T2. Before R2, the temperature is T2. And we are expected to calculate this value of T2. Now I'm just going back to the network once again, which was obtained by finding out the combination of R equivalent 1 and R equivalent 2. Now once again I'm showing you the value of T2 over here. Now we already got the total thermal resistance, we got the rate of heat transfer. Now if you use the same logic, the same rate of heat transfer is there through each of these resistances. Okay, so if I want to calculate T2, I have to apply the equivalent Ohm's law to these two resistances, that is in between T infinity 1 to T2. Two resistances, that is R equivalent 1 and R1 are there. So if I use the same law for this, now the rate of heat transfer is known, the resistances are known, so I can find out the equivalent thermal resistance for these two. And now what is the unknown temperature? T2, that can be calculated. Or it can be done same way in between T2 and T infinity 2. So it is your choice whether you want to do it for T infinity 1 to T2 or from T2 to T infinity 2. So if you use that in between T infinity 1 and T2, okay, so T infinity 1 minus T2 will be divided by R equivalent 1 plus R1, that is the equivalent of these two resistances, and that is equal to Q. Q is already known to us. So if you put the values, the unknown in this is T2, and we can calculate the value of T2 as 1258.15 degrees Celsius. So this was our first problem. The second problem is the problem of composite cylinder and economics of insulation. So there is a steel pipe, 30 centimeter outer diameter, and it is carrying a steam, and the temperature of the surface of the pipe is 250 degrees Celsius. Now it is exposed to ambient air at 30 degrees Celsius. The heat is lost by convection and radiation. Now heat lost is given that it is taking place because of convection and radiation from a pipe whose temperature is 250 degrees Celsius. The convective transfer coefficient value is 22 watt per meter square Kelvin. Calculate the heat loss from 1 meter length of the pipe. So this is the first part of the problem. So we got a pipe whose diameter is 30 centimeter and 1 meter length, and temperature of the pipe is 250 degrees Celsius, losing the heat by convection and radiation to an environment whose temperature is 30 degrees Celsius with a convective transfer coefficient of 22 watt per meter square Kelvin. So we can calculate the convective heat transfer rate by using this H value, but we need to use the equation of Stefan Boltzmann law for finding out the radiation heat transfer. Now the addition of convection and radiation heat transfer total will give the total rate of heat transfer, which will be the answer of the first problem, that is calculate the rate of heat loss from the pipe which is because of convection and radiation. So this we are going to do. Now what is addition? In addition to that, if a layer of insulation is with a thermal conductivity of 0.36 watt per meter square Kelvin, sorry, watt per meter Kelvin, is added with a thickness of 75 millimeter is applied to the pipe in order to minimize the heat loss. Okay, so it is proposed that we are going to add an insulation of thickness 75 millimeter, and our aim is to reduce the heat loss. So whatever heat loss is calculated in the first part of the problem, we are interested in reducing that. For that we have added a insulation. Now this is addition. Now what is given about this insulation? The cost of that heat, if you are saving any heat loss, the cost of that saving is rupees 200 per 10 to the power 6 kilojoule. Try to understand what is the meaning of this. If you are saving 10 to the power 6 kilojoules, if you are saving 10 to the power 6 kilojoules, you have saved a heat which is equal to rupees 200. Means first, if you want to calculate the cost associated with this heat loss, we have to find out how many kilojoules of heat is saved, how many kilojoules of heat is saved, divided by 10 to the power 6 and multiplied by 200, you will get the cost of that heat. That of course subsequently we are going to do it. The cost of insulation is rupees 8,000 per meter length. This is the cost of insulation. When we are installing that insulation, we need to bond this cost of rupees 8,000 for 1 meter length. You can see rupees 8,000 per meter is a huge cost, because normally the steam pipes or uh, whatever fluid pipes are there in the industries, they are very long, maybe 30-meter long, 40-meter long, or more than that even. So you can imagine how much investment is required. Now naturally, whenever there is investment, we are interested in whether whatever investment we are doing, whether it is economical or not. And that is the exact intention of this problem, that if the cost of insulation is rupees 8,000 per meter length, and this unit, that is this steam pipe, is in operation for 2,000 hours in a year, means whatever steam is flowing, that is flowing for normal in average 2000 hours in a year. So under this situation, the cost of capital should be recovered in 2 years. What is expected? That whatever cost we are, this is the capital cost, that is rupees 8,000 per meter of the insulation cost. We are expecting that this cost should get recovered in 2 years of operation. Okay. Now we have to check the economical merits of the insulation, whether this putting the insulation is economical or not. Now, very logically, if you think, you can easily say, we can easily comment that if we are saving more than the investment, the proposal is economical. So we have to find out how much saving is there, and we have to compare the saving with the investment, that is rupees 8,000 per meter. If you found that the saving is more than the investment, naturally the proposal is economical. If you found that the saving is less as compared to the investment, we need to rethink about the proposal because it is not feasible economical point of view. Okay, so this is the beauty of this subject. It is not only gives you the idea about how to tackle the problem, it also solves many real life situations. Of course, whatever calculations we are going to do, all these are calculations based on one dimensional steady state conduction assumption. Of course, this assumption is realistic in most of the problems, because normally when we are having such type of steam pipes, they are most often they are continuous in operation, and the steam temperatures are not changing too much. And because of that, the assumption of steady conditions can be considered as a good assumption. You can say that it is a realistic assumption in that case. So in this problem, the assumptions are steady state conduction, the heat transfer is only in radial direction, no contact resistance between the insulation layer and the pipe. Bare pipe surface, we have to assume it as a black surface because we are not having any value of the convection coefficient, sorry, the radiation coefficient, and that's why we have to calculate it by using assuming that bare pipe as a black surface. Now, Stephen Boltzmann constant is also to be assumed. It's not assumed actually, but it is known to us. It is a standard value, that is 5.67 into 10 to the power minus 8 watt per meter square Kelvin raised to power minus 4. Neglect the radiation heat transfer after the addition of insulation. So while putting the insulation, after putting the insulation, the temperatures are less from the outer side, and that's why we can ignore the radiation heat transfer after the insulation. So this is the additional thing which is given to us. Now, if you write down the data, you got a pipe whose diameter is 30 centimeter. So the radius of that pipe, let us call it as R1, will become 15 centimeter, that is 0.15 meter. So I've shown you this is the pipe, and whose radius R1 is equal to 0.15 meter. Temperature of the pipe surface is 250 degrees Celsius, that is 523 Kelvin. The fluid temperature to which the pipe is exposed without any insulation is 30 degrees Celsius, and that is converted into degree Kelvin as 303 Kelvin. And the convective transfer coefficient is 22 watt per meter square Kelvin. So we have to find out how much heat is lost from this pipe under this situation. So as I told you already, the pipe is losing the heat by convection and radiation. So we have to add the rate of heat transfer by convection and rate of heat transfer by radiation. Rate of heat transfer by convection is nothing but H, that is SC, which is given to us equal to 22 watt per meter square Kelvin. Then the surface area of the pipe, that is 2 pi R1 into L, where L is the length of the pipe, which is to be taken as 1 meter because it is not given in the problem. So we have to take unit length. Okay, and multiplied by the temperature difference, that is T1 minus T infinity, plus the radiation heat transfer we can calculate by using the Stephen Boltzmann equation, that is sigma into area 2 pi R1L, same area of course, into T1 raised to power 4 minus T infinity raised to power 4. While calculating problem of radiation, always remember that we have to use the absolute values of the temperatures. So that's why in the previous slides only I have converted the temperatures into their absolute values, that is in degree Kelvin. So if I substitute all the data which is already available to me, If I substitute the temperatures, then the fourth power of the temperatures are the value of, and I assume that the surface, the pipe is black. That's why emissivity is taken at unity, and that's why it is not appearing in the equation. Otherwise, we need to multiply this particular sigma into as into t1 raised to power 4 minus t infinity raised to power 4 into emissivity epsilon. But as it is taken as a black surface, emissivity is missing from the equation. So we put the values, you will find that convection rate of heat transfer is 4561 and the radiation heat transfer rate is 3547. If we add them, you will get the total heat loss from the pipe is 8 kilowatt, almost 8.1 kilowatt per meter length. So it's a huge loss actually. The heaters which we are using in our household applications, they are of capacity of 1 kilowatt or 1.5 kilowatt. We are using it for domestic water production. Here in 1 meter length of the pipe, we are losing 8 kilowatt of energy. So it's a huge loss basically. So we need to reduce this, and that's why we have to put a insulation. Now we have to, as we are interested in finding out how much heat is, how much cost of that heat is saved by us, then we have to find out how much is the heat lost when the insulation is added. Without the insulation, we got it. Now with the insulation, when we are calculating, is given in the problem that we need to neglect the radiation heat transfer. So when we are putting a insulation, we are not going to consider the radiation, we will concentrate only on the convection. Now once again, we got, now the insulation is added. So the pipe initially it was of radius r1. Now the insulation is added, so of 75 millimeter thickness. So if you add r1 plus 75 millimeter, the value of r2 will become 0.225 meter. So this is the things. Now the temperature of this outer surface of the pipe is 250 degrees Celsius and the outside temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. So heat will flow from 250 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. So like the previous problem, if you draw the equivalent electrical network, you'll find that the first resistance offered by the insulation, that is, let us call it as R1. This is the conduction resistance, and then at the outer surface, the heat is lost to the environment by convection. Now, radiation is not considered. That's why only the convective resistance is there. And as two resistances are there and they are operating separately, we are taking them as resistances in series. So, we got the equivalent electrical network in between 250 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, and that is R1 plus RC. So, I have to find out the values of R1. So, now we can do it directly also. We can calculate the rate of heat transfer, that is delta T divided by sigma R thermal, where sigma R thermal is nothing but R1 plus RC, and delta T is equal to 250, that is the temperature of the steel pipe, and minus temperature of environment, that is 30 degrees Celsius. So if you write down the equations for R1 and RC, R1 is the resistance offered by the resistance of conduction for that insulation. So that is calculated by using natural log of R2 upon R1 divided by 2 pi conductivity of the insulating material multiplied by L. And RC is the convective resistance, which is nothing but 1 upon H into area, where area is 2 pi R2 into L, the surface area of the pipe at R2 radius. So if you substitute the values, R2 is 0.225, R1 is equal to 0.15, 2 pi, K of the insulation is 0.36, and L we have taken as 1 meter. Similarly, H is given equal to 22, 2 pi, then R2 is equal to 0.225 into length is equal to 1. So if you put all those values in this equation, 250 minus 30 will become 220. So I'm just taking 220 in the numerator, and all this, if you calculate it, you'll find that the rate of heat transfer suddenly reduces to only 1 kilowatt now. From 8 kilowatt, the rate of heat transfer has reduced to 1 kilowatt just by adding a insulation of thickness 75 millimeter on 1 meter length. Now, how much energy is saved? Of course, it is Q1 minus Q2, that is 8109.33 minus 1.1041.25, and that is equal to 7068.07 watt. Now, what is watt? We know that watt means joules per second. Okay, so I'm just writing 7068 0.07 joules per second. Now I have to convert it into kilojoule because the cost of saving is given in kilojoules. I'm just converting into kilojoules by dividing it by 1000. So I'll get 7.06807 kilojoules per second energy is saved by us. Now we have to calculate the cost of this energy. So let us start. So we have to develop this equation. Rate of heat saving, okay, as in the previous slide we have calculated it. The saving is in kilojoule per second. Now as we are interested in finding out the cost of this saving, we have to find out the how much kilojoules we are saving in 1 year, okay, because we are interested in finding out in rupees per year. So it is multiplied by number of seconds in 1 hour, so that this second will get cancelled and you will get kilojoule per hour energy saved in 1 hour. Okay, it is per second, so if you multiply it by number of seconds in 1 hour, you will get energy saved in 1 hour. And then number of hours the plant is in operation per year, which is given equal to 2000 per hour. Now if you just see these first three terms, okay, that is rate of heat saving multiplied by number of seconds in 1 hour multiplied by hours of operation annually. And if you put the units here, I have just written the units. Kilojoule per second multiplied by seconds per hour multiplied by hours per year. So this second is going to get cancelled. This hour is going to cancel, and what will get? Number of kilojoules per year. Number of kilojoules saved in 1 year. Are you getting me? Okay, then multiplied by the cost which is available to us, that is rupees for 10 to the power 6 kilojoules, and it is equal to 200. So this much is the annual saving divided by 10 to the power 6 and multiplied by 200. You can calculate the cost of that saving, and if you put all the values, that is the kilojoules per second is 7.0668 from the previous slide. Number of seconds in 1 hour are 3600. Number of hours that plant is in operation per annum is 2000 hours, and the cost is rupees 200 for 10 to the power 6 kilojoules. So if you put these values over here and if you calculate it, you'll get the saving in 1 year is 10,178 per year. Now you can just recall the problem. This capital cost is to be recovered in 2 years. So we have to find out the saving in 2 years. So this is a 1 year saving multiplied by 2, you'll get the saving in 2 years. Now this is the saving, that is rupees 20,356 is saved. While what is the investment? It is rupees 8,000. As saving is more than the investment, adding the insulation is a economical affair. Okay, so this is how we can calculate the cost of insulations and the cost of uh, and we can prove that whether the things are economical or not. So this is the end of this particular session. I've seen two problems, one for a plain wall and one for the economics of the insulation systems. Thank you. Thank you very much.